I'm sorry to inform you that your son has been killed, sir.
A sudden phone call shatters Tom's world, pulling him from a golf game with friends and sending him on a solitary journey to France. He's a man in a tailored suit swimming in a sea of hikers clad in full trekking gear, completely out of place. At first, there was denial. Everyone suggested it might be a scam. Maybe his son Daniel just lost his phone. Tom clung to that sliver of hope. This remote little town didn't seem like a place where anything bad could happen. But that hope evaporated. It vanished the moment the local police captain arrived in his car, the moment Tom stood before the morgue, the moment he laid his own eyes upon his son's body. Only then did the brutal reality set in. At 60 years old, he now faced the cruel reversal of fate, a father burying his son. Tom hadn't seen Daniel in a long time. He never imagined their reunion would be like this. He couldn't understand why his son had died so far from home. The captain silently handed him a passport. The answer was inside. Daniel had met his end on the Camino de Santiago. The Camino is an arduous 800-kilometer pilgrimage, one of the 3 great pilgrim routes of the Christian world. For centuries, people of all backgrounds and beliefs have made the journey. Daniel's passport, had he finished, would be filled with stamps, a testament to his progress. But now, it was starkly, tragically blank. Years ago, his wife passed away. Now, his son was gone too. Tom was utterly alone in the world. He stepped out for some air when a man named Joost, unable to find another seat, sat down opposite him. Assuming Tom was also a pilgrim, Joost kindly offered a warning. The Camino isn't for everyone. He mentioned that just this week, a young man had died from bad weather on his very first day. Joost had no idea he was talking about Tom's own son. He wanted to chat about his own pilgrimage to lose weight, but Tom, in no mood to talk, said he wasn't a pilgrim and made a polite excuse to leave. That night, Tom went through his son's backpack, searching for answers, and remembered their last conversation.
Listen, my doctorate, I'm not going to finish it.
You mean this year?
I mean, ever.
Sifting through these belongings, Tom felt Daniel's spirit, his unwavering will, emanating from them. He immediately got up, knocked on the captain's door, and made a decision: have his son cremated. Seeing the resolve in Tom's eyes, the captain didn't hesitate. A short while later, the son who once stood as tall as Tom was now a small box he could hold in the palm of his hand. Tom told the captain he would finish what his son started. He would carry Daniel's pack, use his gear, and walk the entire Camino, even at 60, even with winter approaching. After packing his bag and placing the box of ashes inside, Tom clumsily knocked over a lamp. His body wasn't as nimble as it used to be. Before he left, the captain gave Tom a stone, telling him it would be useful at the end of the road. The captain understood this impulse all too well. He had lost a child of his own. But he told Tom that a pilgrimage, in the end, is a journey you take for yourself. Tom instinctively turned to leave, but the captain stopped him. He was going the wrong way. This time, he would walk the path his son never got to finish. As an ophthalmologist, Tom had provided a comfortable, stable life for his son. He couldn't comprehend why Daniel would throw it all away for such a grueling journey. The scenery was more beautiful than he'd imagined. After walking for what felt like an eternity, Tom stopped on a hillside. Seeing the cross planted in the ground, he knew this was the first station, the place where his son had died. Looking back, it was as if he could see Daniel in the distance, waving him on. Tom opened the box and scattered the first handful of ashes. The memory of their last goodbye, that final morning at the airport, came flooding back.
You should fly with me.
What?
You should fly with me.
Yeah, right.
Turn the car around, pack a bag, grab your passport, forget your golf clubs. Come on, a father-son trip, it'll be fun.
My life here might not seem like much to you, but it's the life I choose.
You don't choose a life, Dad. You live one.
The memory jolted Tom back to the present. He and his son had grown distant after his wife's death. Maybe it was the communication breakdown between them, or maybe his son was just a true free spirit. It was too late now. Tom would never know for sure. The only thing he could do was keep walking. He sat on that hillside until dusk. By the time he reached the town, nearly everything was closed, except for an albergue, a hostel specifically for pilgrims. The price was cheap, €15, including a meal. But it wasn't what Tom expected. There were no private rooms, just communal sleeping, rows of bunk beds. He was too late for dinner. As Tom carefully climbed into his bunk, the room was a symphony of snores, coughs, and grinding teeth. Accustomed to a life of comfort, and now haunted by grief, sleep felt impossible. Only to find Joost in the next bed, munching on snacks despite his diet. Joost generously shared his food, but more importantly, he offered a godsend, earplugs, and a sleeping pill. Tom finally got some rest. The next morning, the pilgrims packed up and set out once more. The innkeeper gave Tom's pilgrim passport its very first stamp.
Have you ever walked the Camino, Senora?
Never. When I was young, I was too busy. And now that I'm older, I'm too tired.
Tom wasn't surprised by her answer. If it weren't for his son, he never would have set foot on this path either. Just like that, the solo journey became a duo. Following the guidebook, they set out from Roncesvalles towards Pamplona. It was a 44-kilometer trek, and Joost was slow. He claimed he was walking to lose weight, but his pilgrimage seemed to be a tour of every roadside cafe and bistro. Seeing Joost lagging far behind, Tom deliberately sped up, wanting a moment alone to scatter more of his son's ashes. But no matter how careful he was, Joost eventually noticed something was up.
Tom, that box with the ashes.
My son.
He finally understood. Tom was walking for his son. Soon they reached the next stop. Tom decided to stay the night, but Joost, lured by the promise of the next town's culinary delights, pushed onward. They said their goodbyes at a fork in the road. Some people, it seems, are only meant to walk with you for a part of your journey. The new inn was full of life, with pilgrims sharing a meal around a large table like old friends. Tom felt a bit lost, until the warm-hearted owner and fellow travelers welcomed him to join. He felt a strange sense of camaraderie. For a moment, he looked up and saw a fleeting image of his son in the crowd. Perhaps this was the life Daniel had been searching for. Later, on the balcony, a woman with a cigarette and a sharp tongue struck up a conversation. She pegged Tom as a pilgrim and claimed they all fit a certain profile. Either they're listening to James Taylor on a Jobs-blessed device like an iPod, or they've sworn off all electronics. As for why they walk, she figured it was divorce, a midlife crisis, or penance for some sin. She seemed to have his generation all figured out.
You sound really angry.
The woman, Sarah, claimed she needed to quit smoking, but she'd been lingering in this one spot for days. A 2-day walk for Tom had taken her 10. At this rate, she wouldn't reach the end until New Year's. It was less a pilgrimage and more an escape. She seemed to want to say more, but when she turned back, Tom was gone. The next morning, Tom was up early again. On the terrace, he witnessed a charming sight. The innkeeper was using a red tablecloth, imagining himself a matador, basking in the imaginary cheers of a crowd.
I wanted to be a bullfighter. My father wanted me to be a lawyer.
To his surprise, Sarah was also up, trying to slip away unnoticed. Sarah apologized for her assumptions the night before. Turns out she was one of the pilgrims she'd been mocking. She was walking to leave her past behind, but Tom's presence had brought it all back. Now she just wanted to get moving before it caught up to her. And in her iPod, the song playing was Country Road by James Taylor. Tom, too, felt a new resolve. He picked up his pace. He called his office and cleared his schedule for the next month. He was all in. He walked, resting when he was tired, pausing for the beauty around him. Crossing a stone bridge, exhaustion hit him hard. As he leaned on the railing to unbuckle his pack, it slipped. The current was strong, sweeping the pack downstream. Tom scrambled along the bank, but it stayed just out of reach. But if the pack carrying his son's ashes was lost, reaching the end would be meaningless. Finally, he threw himself in, fighting the current with everything he had. He grabbed onto a branch, miraculously saving the bag, and collapsed on the shore, utterly spent. As darkness fell, he set up a makeshift camp by the river, and for some reason, he couldn't help but laugh. The thrill of it, the raw, unexpected adventure, it made him feel alive again. He slept until morning, awakened by other pilgrims passing by. In the next city, he ran into Joost, who was, of course, sampling the local Spanish ham. It seems when people share the same destination, they're bound to meet again. Before long, they spotted Sarah around a corner. She was happy to join them. The duo became a trio, but Tom kept pushing ahead, sometimes a full hill in front of the others, which annoyed Sarah. She felt he was turning a spiritual journey into a race. She didn't know Tom had his own reasons for pushing ahead. Along the way, Tom met a priest, a brain cancer survivor. He wore a hat to cover the scar from his surgery, a constant reminder that the tumor could return at any time. He'd come to the Camino because he heard miracles happen here. At the next stop, they all celebrated together in a church, drinking wine and sharing stories. Tom started to get used to this life. He could even sleep soundly now without pills or earplugs. They set out again under the morning sun. Resting by a haystack in the afternoon heat, they saw a man venting his frustration by swinging a stick at the air. The stick landed at Tom's feet. The man rushed over to apologize. He was a writer, suffering from a months-long block, hoping the Camino would inspire his masterpiece. But he was still stuck. Tom, eager to keep moving, got up and left. The writer, Jack, tagged along, and the trio became a quartet. All the while, Tom continued to discreetly scatter the ashes. Jack's curiosity was piqued, and Joost, in a moment of carelessness, let the story slip. A father carrying his son's ashes. Jack knew it was a powerful story and started taking notes. Only Sarah remained in the dark. That night, they stopped in a tiny village. The host was overly enthusiastic, even showing off his custom-made pilgrim stamp, a portrait of himself. But something was off. The place was clean, yet strangely empty of other pilgrims. Investigating upstairs, they found the owner playing make-believe all by himself and making strange noises. Realizing their host was mentally unstable, they decided to camp outside for the night. Tom woke from a dream to find the others gone. As he packed, Sarah approached, finally asking him the real reason he was on the Camino. Tom didn't want to talk. As he lifted his pack,
No.
the mood had turned ice cold. Thankfully, Joost and Jack returned with food, breaking the heavy silence. After eating, they set off again. But this time, Tom, who was always out in front, deliberately slowed his pace. It was an unspoken invitation to talk.
Tom, your son. Joost told me. I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
Joost told you, huh? That figures.
Then Sarah shared her own story. She had been pregnant once, before the Camino, her only time. Everyone on this path, it seemed, was carrying their own unspoken pain. They were all walking to forget, which is why they never stopped. At a restaurant, after a few strong drinks, a clap of thunder rattled the sky, reminding Tom of the storm that took his son. Jack, meanwhile, wouldn't stop talking. Tom snapped.
Christ, you're a bore.
His pent-up emotions, fueled by alcohol, finally erupted. He called Jack an arrogant windbag who couldn't even pay his own bar tab. He blasted Joost as a gossip-mongering fat man, and he turned on Sarah, demanding to know what was so wrong with being a pilgrim. He yelled and screamed, unleashing all his grief and frustration. Unsurprisingly, his outburst earned him a trip to the local police station. Sobering up, Tom couldn't believe his own behavior. In a daze, he saw his son again. Eventually, Jack bailed him out.
Thank you for bailing me out.
You can thank my credit card.
After the outburst, Tom felt lighter. Perhaps for the first time, this pilgrimage was truly becoming his own. He promised to pay Jack back, but Jack didn't want money. He wanted to write Tom's story. With a sigh of resignation, Tom agreed, and finally opened up to his companions, sharing memories of the son he knew. They reached the next city and reunited with the priest's group, celebrating like old friends. But then Tom realized his backpack had been snatched. The group gave chase, tracking the thief to a gypsy camp, a place the police wouldn't even touch. They were on their own. Tom pleaded for them to just return the box with his son's ashes, but it was no use. Defeated, they left. But their encounter had been witnessed by a man at the edge of the camp. Without the ashes, Tom had lost his reason to continue. He decided he would fly home the next day. But that evening, a man named Ishmael walked into the bar, followed by a young boy carrying Tom's backpack. It was his son. Ishmael offered a sincere apology for his son's actions and invited them to a celebration that night. Around a bonfire, the four friends danced with the gypsies. Ishmael told Tom that when he reached the end, he shouldn't stop. He should continue on to a place called Finisterre, where he would find what he was looking for. As autumn deepened, the four friends walked on. They were no longer just a group of individuals. They were a unit, a shield against the loneliness they had all felt before. The journey became less about the destination and more about the time spent together on the road. At the last hotel before their final stop, Tom decided to treat everyone to a night of luxury. Sarah got a manicure, Joost prepared for a feast, and Jack organized his notes. But the opulent suites felt strangely empty. Sarah still hadn't quit smoking. Joost stared at his reflection, the gourmet food suddenly unappealing. Jack had pages of material, but still no real inspiration. Late that night, Sarah knocked on Tom's door. Then came Joost, and finally, Jack. No words were needed. They simply wanted to be together, to savor the hard-won companionship. They arrived at a mound of stones, a sign that the end was near. The stone the captain had given Tom now had its purpose.
Dear Lord, may this stone, a symbol of my efforts on the pilgrimage, that I lay at the feet of the cross of the Savior.
Here, pilgrims pour their regrets and sorrows into stones, casting them away as a final goodbye to the past. Tom scattered more of his son's ashes. This time, he didn't hide it. His friends stood by in silent respect. He was slowly coming to terms with his loss. After 800 kilometers, they finally reached the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral. Sarah placed her hand on the sacred statue at the Portico de la Gloria, and then she left her pack of cigarettes behind. Tom and Jack did the same. Only Joost fell to his knees, approaching the statue with pure reverence. As the pilgrims gathered, the massive Bodafumero thurible swung through the air, filling the space with incense. In that sacred haze, Tom saw him again, as if he'd never left. An official stamped their passports one last time and issued their certificates of completion. But on the certificate, Tom didn't write his own name. He wrote Daniel's. The journey was over, but the redemption they expected wasn't there. Instead, there was a new kind of emptiness. Without a word, the four of them knew what to do. They kept walking, heading for the place Ishmael had told them about, Finisterre, the end of the world. Tom scattered the last of his son's ashes into the sea. His child, now dust on the wind, drifted out toward the horizon. For centuries, countless people have walked this path. Are they all devout believers? Perhaps not. What makes someone leave their ordinary life for an unknown road? Often, it's an unspeakable pain, loneliness, regret, the need to escape. Maybe they don't even know the reason themselves. They just take a leap of faith onto a path they never chose, hoping to find some kind of salvation. Who would go looking for solace in suffering unless a part of them was already broken? On this road, there is no turning back. You can only find the courage to keep going until you reach the day you no longer need the questions or the answers. All we can do is keep walking, forgive ourselves, and find a way to make peace with the life we've been given.
I highly recommend you watch the original film to experience its full beauty. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.